Now, when it comes to pointers and constants, we have three scenarios. The first scenario is where the data is constant, but the pointer is not. So later on, we can have the pointer point to something else. The second scenario is where the pointer is constant. So once we declare and initialize it, we cannot have it point to something else. And the third scenario is where both the data and pointer are constant. Let's see these scenarios in action. So I'm going to declare an integer called x and an integer pointer and initialize it with the address of x. Now, if we make x a constant integer, we get a compilation error because we cannot have an integer pointer point to a constant integer. So earlier I told you that if x is a double, we get a compilation error because an integer pointer cannot point to a double. The types should be identical. So if x is a constant integer, our pointer variable should be a constant integer pointer. Now, in this scenario, the target variable or the data is constant, but our pointer is not. So later on, we can have our pointer point to a different variable. So over here, if we use the indirection operator to access this memory location and try to update the value, we get a compilation error because this is the same as setting x to 20. X is a constant, so this is not legal. But in this case, we can declare another variable and set our pointer to the address of y. So our pointer is not constant. Now let's look at the second scenario where the pointer is constant. So I'm going to delete these two lines and remove the constant keyword. Now to define a constant pointer, we should type the constant keyword after the asterisk, like this. So now we have a constant pointer, and once we have this, we cannot change its value. So over here, if we declare y and try to set pointer to the address of y, we get a compilation error because our pointer is constant. And that means when declaring constant pointers, we should always initialize them. If we don't do so, we get a compilation error because later on we cannot reset a constant pointer. So we should always initialize them. Now let's look at the third scenario where both the data and pointer are constant. So once again, I'm going to make this a constant integer and the pointer as well. Now I know the syntax looks a little bit strange. So we have constant integer pointer const. It's kind of verbose, but it is what it is. The way we read this is we have a constant pointer pointing to a constant integer.